Well, welcome to another episode of True Self with KB. This is Camilla B, and this episode is gonna be um another take because last year I did more of a scorned Black woman. So this season I wanted to make sure I focused on like what dating looks like from another perspective, um, and his take on what he's doing lately. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Rich. I'm a relationship coach. Married. I've been married for 10 years. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a lot of different things, you know what I mean? But I'm really just a person that's on their own healing journey, evolving and growing and kind of sharing my insights along the way.
Like this is it because this topic, modern dating, you said you're a relationship coach, which is like extra like, oh, okay. Last time it was just me and another person just talking about how we went about dating and how we evolved. Because the first time me and him like sat down together, we were just, I felt like the first time we recorded, it was a couple years before, and we sounded like two toxic people. Um,
Wow.
and then
Yeah.
and like kind of fast forward to last year, we were in different headspaces this time around. And I was like, yo, the reason why I never put out the content years before was like we wasn't in a great place. That's why we was able to be like, yo, we've made some dating failures and this is where we are now. So that's where the point of view was coming from with dating failures last season. So this time we're talking about modern dating, and I have a couple questions for you to answer.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Let's see. Okay. So I feel like a lot of people, especially lately, especially in the last year, there's a lot of girls with a different rhetoric. They are dating a lot, and then they come on TikTok and Instagram and they talk about the type of men they're dating and all the stuff that how they're feeling at dating and how men ain't ish, and I feel like I still say that, but in the comfort of my own home. I try not to do that a lot.
Yeah.
And but I realized that um I had a hot take with my friend and I was like, yo, honestly, I think men date kind of the right way.
Mm.
I feel like they date the way we should be dating. We date around. We're quick to try and pick someone and try to be like, okay, I'm just stick with him instead of just dating around. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I think that's so good. I think even like if we think about young boys and young girls, right, and the ways that we're socialized by society, right? Girls are socialized to kind of tune into people, like, right, um, get into people's thoughts and feelings and try to like nurture them and try to cater to them, right? This is how we socialize little girls, but boys are just kind of like we let them do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And then this translates into adulthood, right? It's still the same thing, right? Girls who are not women, right? They're holding space for people, friends in their lives, but also like when they're trying to entertain men and getting to know them. And guys are kind of just like, moving around and trying to see, well, who's the best match for what they want, right? A lot of times women are like changing what they want, you know what I mean? To match, like they want to get chose, right? They want to see if they can match with somebody, right? There's a little more pressure on women as well, right? Biological clocks and all of those things. But
Oh yeah.
and it's like those are real things, right? And then you come with this changes how you approach the dating market. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with you. Like if women could kind of just be more clear about what they want, right? Who they are, what their non-negotiables are, right? And kind of just it's tough though, right? Like it like dating is tough, and trying to find somebody who aligns with you, so that you're not negotiating who you are on the inside. It could be really tricky.
Yeah, for real. That's the first time I actually said that hot take out loud because I was like,
Also, to your point though, of like niggas ain't shit. It's like women are kind of socialized to be wives. You know what I mean? Like from when you're young, and guys, we have Prince Charming. We have that Prince Charming archetype, but more so than anything, it's like you're looked at as cool, or you have swag when a lot of women want you. You know what I mean? So like priorities are a little different when we're growing up. So that goes into the dating market as well. Like we're kind of like we have to figure it out kind of late. You know what I mean? Like later.
oh yeah.
how to be a husband, how to be a man, like how to be, a stand-up person and create this environment that women actually feel safe in. It takes us a longer time to get to that place.
Man, I tell you. I mean, I tell you because it's I always notice like I think I tell my friend all the time. I was like, why can't I just meet somebody the work is half done? You know what I mean? Like the work is half done and she's mad. She's like, good luck with that. And I
Yeah,
was like, all right.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. But I come from a space of like I've been working hard on me and I want somebody. I don't want to help someone grow up, but I feel like it's something that we can't avoid in a way.
yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah. I think that's like one of the major things. You hit it on the head. That's one of the major things that women can kind of complain about, right? Like, these dudes are not like they're not like really, really ready. And I'm just like, I know, but it's like that's just kind of like the deck right now. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're dealt with. And there's a certain part of like a man's growth that he just doesn't really experience until he's in an intimate relationship with a woman. You know what I mean? And it's just like that's the frustrating part, right? Because you don't want to feel like you're raising somebody like, yo, is this my son? Like, what
Yeah,
is this? You know what I mean? But it happens on both sides. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain part of like maturing that happens in a committed relationship. You know what I mean? And it's just I know women say that all the time, like, like they don't want to raise anybody. Like, I'm not your mom. You know what I mean? And I get it. I get it, right? But it's just kind of like what we're dealt with, right? What we're dealing with right now.
it's true. That's why I just feel like it comes with it in the sense
Yeah.
it's something I know we try to be like, oh, there's no perfect, but we can say that all we want, but our actions are still looking for perfect. So I always think that. I'm like, yo, we always say that, but like yeah, our actions always looking for perfect.
Damn.
Hmm.
Deep. No, that's so deep. And like, I've been married for 10 years, right? I've been with my wife for 14 years. And it's like, we're still growing. You know what I mean? We're still changing. We're still evolving, right? And it's just like, you kind of want somebody who has, what I tell my people that I coach as well is like, when you're looking for a partner, right, you want to look for more intrinsic qualities, like those intangible things, right? Like, do they have a growth mindset, right?
Oh
That's going to take you through your whole life, right? How do they deal with failure, or how do they deal with when they're wrong about something, right? Do they
yeah.
get defensive, or do they, do they take the information? Do they try to apply it? Are they quick to pivot? Things like that let you know, like, this person has the qualities that I want to do life with them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus like how they look and how much money they make, their job, all of those things.
Yeah. My first thing was, and that all just came from the top of my head. There was nothing here about any of that we just
Yeah,
talked
that's a
about.
bar.
Yeah. What do you think? Because I feel like we forget that we have to be friends with the person and actually like them. I think that gets kind of shifted a lot when we're dating. We forget the friendship part. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like they say, our family is our first friend. Our family is where we learn how we build relationships. And I just want to like hear what you think about the friend expectation of it all in relationships.
Whew, yeah. So um
Ooh.
I love that. No, that's a great question, because I'm kind of like torn on it, to be honest with you, right? Like, my wife is my best friend, right? Like, that works, that model works for us.
Mhm.
And I think it's a good model. I think it's a great model to have a foundation of friendship, because the love, or the in love, the butterfly feeling and the romance and all that,
Mhm.
that fluctuates over time. You know what I mean? Like, people go through things, right? People lose their jobs. People, a parent might die, or, a relative might die. So like, that romance part, it fluctuates ups and downs. So having a foundation of friendship is amazing, right? On the other hand, though,
Ooh, I
right?
can't wait to hear this part.
On the other hand, when we look at relationships outside of America, right? You see that it's like arranged marriages, or their marriages are very like business structured, right? It's more so business oriented. Like, this person comes from a good family, will continue to level up, right? And those relationships have a high success rate, but do they have a happiness rate? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like a juggle, right?
Hmm.
I think sometimes, if we are best friends with our partner, right, it can be an amazing relationship. But sometimes you get to a hard part in the relationship where you have to kind of are you choosing to be their friend or are you choosing to be their lover, right? Because
Mhm.
those reactions are kind of different, right? A good friend of mine, her partner, they parted ways, and it was kind of based on like her being a friend to him. Like, yo, as a friend, I think this is not really working. You know what I mean? Versus like
Yeah.
as a lover, you want to like I want to be with you. I want to grow with you. But like as a friend,
Wow.
my friend lens is saying that this is not really working. You know what I mean? So it's tricky sometimes.
Oh my God, my mind has changed and shifted around. That's why I want us to be together so I could give that like, whoa, my mind is all over the place right now. Jeez, yo, I never thought of that. Wow, I needed that. Woo, Lord. Okay.
Because friendship, I know a lot of us say that like, yo, your partner has to be your best friend. Like they don't have to be your best friend. Like it's really nice if they are. You know, that's a plus. But everybody's not looking for a best friend. Like some people have a best friend. You know what I mean? They're looking for somebody who.
That's true. And also, yeah, me and my friend came with a good point. I think like last year,
Mhm.
we kept talking about like her and her husband don't have a lot in common, da 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 da. And then it's just like, but you have friends with all the other things in common. So I also started to be like, oh, that's so true. We always looking for this, and that. But your friends, you have all these other friends that you could do this, and that with. So it makes more sense when I thought of it that way. So you shifted my mind now about friendship just now again.
Yeah, and I think also too, like, to piggyback off what you're saying, because I love that your friend said that. Like, I think when we go into a relationship thinking that like this person, like our partner is gonna like check every single box for us. We're gonna love all the same things. I'm just gonna be with them all the time. And it's like, nah, like that's why we have tribe, right? That's why we have
Yeah.
because one person can't be everything for you, right? And to expect that from them is actually really toxic.
Oh man. Okay. That's true. We do expect too much sometimes. It's
We
true. It's
do,
true.
we really do, we really do. We want them to be everything for us, and it's just like that's too much for any person to bear. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. What are your thoughts about like how dating is these days? Because I know you do like a speed dating now.
yep.
Oh my God. I mentally have to prepare myself if I join. That's why I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So speed. So like me and two of my homegirls, we started this speed dating mixer brand called Date Dash, and we really wanted to like kind of take the pressure off of like dating for real. You know what I mean? Because I think so many people have like so much pressure. Like I have to find my person. I have to find my person, and bringing that pressure, to dating a lot of times it turns men off and it turns women off as well. You know what I mean? So we wanted to create a kind of different environment where people kind of feel less pressure. It's a little bit fun. You know what I mean? It is speed dating, but we actually do like group activities as well, so people can kind of relax and take some of the pressure out of the situations. But dating is tricky, yo. It's like there's so many like thoughts and feelings, and people have different intentions, and you got to try to find somebody whose intentions align with yours, and it's that can be very hard work sometimes. You know what I mean? You got to sift through a lot of like BS, unfortunately. You know what I mean? But with the date dash and the speed dating mixer, what we do is we kind of let people know before we start the event, like, hey, you might meet your person here, but you might not. You might meet a friend. You might meet somebody who you can network with. You might meet somebody who enjoys the same things that you do. Maybe you can, they can be your friend in that avenue, right? But just going in open minded, which I think a lot of times we don't do for dating, right? We're just very like, I want, X, Y, and Z, right? And if this person,
Yeah.
then I'm good. You know what I mean? Or another thing is too, like we have so many icks, right? The ick list is like super high. You know what I mean? And it's
Let
like,
me just say, I've never said that in my life so far. Okay. I don't say that word. And when I heard
yeah,
it on freaking Love is Blind, I was like, wow, we really saying that?
yeah,
Okay.
right, yeah. And I just because like it's icks are like they shouldn't be red flags, but I think the way that we're using it now is like, oh no, that's a red flag. Like maybe you don't like the way somebody like chews or something. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Mhm.
I don't want to. You know what I mean? It's like if that's what you're like critiquing people on, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a hard time, right? Because again, nobody's perfect. You know
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Oh, child. Okay.
what I'm saying?
In your opinion, I know I don't want it to sound like mansplaining,
Yeah, yes.
but what do you think um women go wrong as far as dating?
Okay. Yeah, I think.
I have to put that disclaimer because people love to be like, "Oh, mansplaining,"
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
you're an expert, so I wanted to hear what you thought.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. It's tricky with the things that women are doing wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think some of the onus is on the man, right? In terms of being more intentional and being more sincere about getting to know somebody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I would say one of the things that women do wrong is they're not super clear about their intentions, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to be in a situationship, right? Unless that's something that you want to do, right? But if you don't want to be in a situationship, if you want to be in a committed, relationship, you can say that, right? You could be forthcoming and say that. I think a lot of times, people are kind of gauging what the man wants and like, oh, he doesn't really want anything serious, but I like him a lot, right? So let me just kind of go at his pace,
Go
right?
at his pace and do what he thinks is, yeah. That is sometimes we do that a lot. And yeah, you learn the hard way.
No, I love that. I love that. So like going at his pace, letting him dictate the pace. And the thing about like what we were talking about earlier, right? Like men are not particularly socialized to be husbands, right? Or to be super serious about dating and all these things, right? So if you're gonna go at a man's pace, just be prepared that the pace is gonna be slow as hell. You, you know what I mean? With most men. With most men.
Yo, that is so true. And that's why I think too, like, I understand like people are hurt from the past,
Yes, yes, yes.
but I think it's easier. It's not that you should tell someone right away about what happened to you in the past, but I feel like the 90 days thing, I had to be like, nah, I'm not wasting my time. I can't do this after 90 days because it's like, while you still thinking, women already made their mind up already. Like, oh, I want to make this work. So a man is like, nah, 90 days ain't enough. But I feel like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I think I love that, right? Because I want to say like the older that we get, we should be more in tune with our wants and our desires, who we are, what we want, and what we're willing to do to get it, right? So it's like if I'm 30, I keep forgetting my age, yo. I'm 37, right? I'll be 38.
mm-hmm.
Like the Nigerians say, at this big age, right? At you know what I'm saying, being 37, if I'm not clear about who I am and what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can't meet somebody and be like, nah, I want to put time into that. You know what I mean? I'm willing to invest a lot of time and energy into her. You know what I mean? Like then I got to do some soul searching. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like even though men's pace is a little slower, an intentional man moves differently though. You know what I mean? So like women got to get better at telling like is his pace slow, but is he still intentional, or is his pace slow because he's playing games?
Yeah, it's crazy you keep saying intentions because I legit put it in my prayer journal today about intentions, which is like crazy. You keep saying, I just was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like your intention creates your standard, right? And your standard is like literally the foundation that you stand on and that you allow the world to unfold before you, right? So it's like if you have a certain standard, right, and you have to be willing to stand on that standard, right? If you're dating a guy or talking to a woman or whatever it is, and they don't meet that standard, right? The first thing you do is check your standard, like, yo, is my standard, is it accurate? Am I actually sticking to my standard in terms of do I meet my own standard, right?
Mhm.
Or is my standard based on like expectations, right? Expectations just lead to disappointment most of the time.
Oh man, oh man. Yeah. I mean, you answered the second question, but um, what do you think people overlook that is very like kind of simple?
Mm, what do we overlook that is so simple?
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. That's so good. I
Because
think
I
we
feel like there's not too much like I feel like I always stand by this. Like we make things bigger than it needs to be. So
we
that's why.
yeah. I think what we get wrong that could be so simple is kind of like, let's have the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about it, right? And then while we're having the conversation, let me be conscious of what I'm projecting, right? And like what my hurt is, what my wounds are, what my expectations are, right? Let me be conscious of that, right? And own that and try to be like in tune with that and not project my insecurities onto you, right? Not project my fears onto you or make you responsible for my fears and all those things. Like I think if we are just simple, like just let's just have the conversation and just be aware of who we are while we're having the conversation.
I felt like my friend looked at me crazy when I had this hot take sometime last year. And I was like, I feel like men don't get up and be like, I'm going to ghost her today.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and she looked at me like I was crazy a little bit, but I was like, yo, can you imagine? I just feel like they just want to avoid a conversation. If you're just not into her, they just want to just like leave it alone without having a conversation.
Yeah, we you know, every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have a series called Rich Conversations, right? So one of the topics was ghosting, right? That was one of my favorite topics, right?
Oh, I should have come in on that one. Go ahead.
Yeah, but a lot of it is what you said, like, you know, avoiding the conversation, right? Or maybe not feeling like you have the communicative skills to have a good conversation or uncomfortable conversation, right? Um, you're trying to spare the person, right? You don't want them to feel bad or whatever, right? But a lot of it is just avoiding what's going to come up in the conversation, right? And it's not like, yo, I don't like her, or you know, I think she's ugly, or you know, all these things.
Yeah.
But because we're being ghosted, we make up these stories, right, about what it is potentially, right? It's potentially because he thinks I'm ugly, or maybe he thinks I'm overweight, or he thinks I'm too skinny, or I told him, you know, I said something to him, maybe he took it the wrong way. I wish I
Yeah.
could explain it. You know what I mean? It's like we create all these narratives in our mind,
Oh
right?
my God. Okay. I feel like I always like, because I'm the type, I call self-awareness a gift and a curse. Because I feel like I try to dissect and dissect and dissect, and to a point that I come up with my own excuses. Like, because I feel like when we avoid to have a conversation, it comes back up again. I
Yeah.
always say, if you don't learn how to deal with it, the shit's gonna come right back up again. I always say, God, that's how God is. If God is teaching you, if you don't learn how to deal with it, it's gonna come right back to you again. And I feel like the last situation, I was much more like, I'm speaking up because I rather learn to do this now. Every time I feel like God is teaching me to speak up, I'd be like, not right now. I don't feel like it. Like, you know, not today.
That's so good. And like, you know, it's just because we make all these, we create these stories in our mind, right, about like a bad conversation, right? But a bad conversation just gives you information about the
Mm,
person, about yourself, right, about the relationship, like, you know what I mean? So it's like we had a bad convo, it went way left. Like, what does that mean, right? Does that mean that I have to work on my delivery? Do I have to work on my self-control? Do I have to work on not taking things personal? Like, what are the areas of opportunity that I learned from having this bad conversation? I think we're not willing to learn that a lot of times.
ooh, man. And then I always say, like, you can also grow from each situation.
100%.
Like, I always think like some conversations is necessary for you to like grow up. Um, and man, growing pains, I tell you.
Took it right out of my head. Is growing pains. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, dude, we're growing, right? Like you're gonna feel growing pains in a relationship when you're trying to grow the relationship. You're gonna feel growing pains if you run a business and you're trying to grow your business. You're
Mhm.
trying to grow like a brand, podcasting. No matter if you're on a job and you're trying to go up in your job, you're gonna feel growing pains, right? It's like it's unavoidable if you want to grow, right? If you want to stay the same, if you want to, you know, just kind of coast through life, then yeah, don't challenge yourself. You know what I mean? But for all of us who challenge ourselves, right? Like we kind of know like these growing pains are gonna come.
Yeah, you hit it on the head with that one. In every aspect, we're gonna face growing pains.
100%.
Get the doubt out of women's head. Like, you know, you have time. You have time. Just let it flow. and that's where I'm at mentally.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, you have time, and then also like just being, a lot of it is deconditioning. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
my God.
if you like, so if you don't have a child, does that mean you're less of a woman? Like, if you,
Come
you know what I mean?
on.
There's so many of these like internal narratives that we have, that we wrestle with, that causes frustration. Is like, you know, when these stories were created, right? These societal stories were created, the infrastructure was a lot different, right? That's another thing about dating as well. Like, the white picket fence, and the safety, and the getting the job security, and like that was
Yeah.
like parents, their parents, and their parents. You know what I mean? Like, the society was structured differently, right? Like, we kind of,
Mhm.
like, this is the Wild Wild West. Like, we trying to
Yeah.
figure out,
Millennials out here by ourselves figuring it out.
hello, you know what I mean? Like, and to have to expect the same trajectory or the same like pace as our parents had, that doesn't do us any benefit, right? Like, they grew up in a completely different time. um so there's that, and there's also, like, like I said, the deconditioning part of, like, maybe you don't have a child, but that doesn't mean you're less of a person, doesn't mean you're less of a woman. It doesn't mean anything like that. There's other avenues, you know what I mean, in terms of adoption or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You could be a good auntie. You know what I mean? Like, my older brother, man, like, he's just like, yeah, I ain't having children. Like, it's like that. You know what I mean? He's good being an uncle. You know what I mean? Like, and
Auntie
like
life is really fun. I'm not gonna lie to you.
that,
Okay.
give him back. You know what I mean? Like, it's lit. But like, I think, we're kind of like, a lot of us have this like one idea of like what we want our life to look like, and a lot of times that idea was put into our brains. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like really getting clear about who you are and what you want. You know what I mean, for you,
Mhm.
and then moving in accordance with that.
That Bell Hooks book really helped me like kind of get the fairy tale out of my head a lot. And I was just like distraught because I love romantic comedies. I
Yeah,
love the
yeah.
romanticizing of it all. I realized that my toxic trait is romanticizing.
Ooh.
I like to take things and just like go with it. And you think you're over, you think you heal until
Yeah. Yeah.
until you start talking to another guy and you romanticize that also. So it's a lot of like unlearning, deconditioning, all the stuff you've learned, all the stuff you watch as a child. And it like slapped me in the face recently. And I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I guess I'm not. Like, you
Yeah.
know?
These are deeply held beliefs, right? And like, even though like we might say like, okay, like, I don't believe in that fairy tale stuff, right? Maybe you
Mhm.
didn't believe in it with this person, right? But when you get a better version of a person, and you start feeling all the feels, and like, yo, I really like them, I'm really into them, right? That deep core belief comes back, and it's like, I can have this fairy tale with this person. And it's like, you didn't really decondition it, right? You just kind of said, not this person, right? But that person is coming,
To London, had this London thing going on. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Love
In
it.
my head, I'm thinking everything is great. I'm like, yo, I'm about to move to London. I'm gonna see what this theater life is out there. Like, working costume and wardrobing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see what this like costume and film world is like. Then I realized I was romanticizing him because I got hit with the text for like, oh, I met this girl. And I was like, what? What is he talking about? I thought we had a great time. I thought I was about to move to London. But it kind of hit me that I wasn't completely gone away from romanticizing. And then my friend was just like, because I dissected before I like talked to it with another friend. I was like, you know what? It was my fault. I thought I saw something that I didn't see, or I avoided things that was in front of my face. And I feel like that happens to me a lot. Like it's in my face and I avoided it. By the time I talked to my friend, she was like, do you know what happened? Do you know how you dealt with it? Do you know? I was like, girl, I already know. It's my fault.
That's heavy. Yeah,
She
yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Because I already dissected and I realized I avoided the little stuff that was happening in my face. Like I really wasn't trying to see it. So yeah.
So like a couple of days ago, the topic was on my live was, is love really blind, right? And I do a little bit of research, right, for each live, right? So I was like, let me look up what oxytocin's effect is on the brain, right? And when you look at, oxytocin, like the love chemical, right? And like a lot of us feel a lot of, higher levels of oxytocin when we're romantically involved with somebody, even
Mhm.
sexually involved with somebody. And one of the effects of oxytocin on our brain is it makes us kind of like a little bit more agreeable. You know what I mean? A little more empathetic, a little more compassionate, right? So in that, right, it's like you might overlook some things, right? Because you're just in this state of like bliss a little bit. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
Like that's why I like you said 90 days, because like in that 90 days, if we're intentional, right, when we're getting to know somebody, we're gonna feel that flood of oxytocin. But if we're actually still being vigilant and being aware, we're not gonna allow it to like overload us and make us miss things that we should pay attention to. So I
Yeah.
love your story for that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I feel like the last one I was just like, I was so intentional with the 90 days. I was trying to be like, yo, this, that. But he was just trying to be on some like, let's just enjoy this. And we just like have fun. And I was like, have fun to go where? Like, where are we going with this? You know what I mean? I can no longer kind of entertain it. I feel like it's draining. It's it just like takes from you. And I think that's why I stopped dating too. Just like
Mhm.
it just really is draining. I'm over the dinners. I'm over the dinners. Okay. I can't do another dinner. Your speed dating thing was just like, okay, this is different. I feel like I could probably give it a whirl when I'm mentally ready for it.
Yeah,
Because it's something different. If I hear another dinner, I'm gonna go crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So
And it's like, you pay for your ticket, right? And then it'd be like 10 men, 10 women, right? And then the dating rounds are like 2 minutes max.
please
You know what I mean? So like, and we provide questions.
stop.
We set it up real nice. You know what I mean? We give questions to ask, and like in that time, 2 minutes is not that long. You could ask, one question each, right? Get to know each other and kind of like just feel the vibes. You know what I mean? Like feel your energy. You feel their energy. It's like, do I like this person? No, it's okay, right? But the stakes aren't really that high. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
you didn't get dressed to go to dinner with this one person. It's not so much invested in one person. It's like, let me just see, like, this is 10 people that I'm gonna date tonight. You know what I mean? And let me see what I like and what I don't like. Because there are some people that want to just have fun. That's fine, right? You'll find people who just want to have fun. There's other people who are more intentional, and we need to create a space where they can kind of find each other. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Acted like in a while. I was going off the rip.
A
Oh gosh.
lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what have you learned in your own marriage that you feel like people should warn others about?
Ooh. Um. Ooh. My mind's going crazy. But let me. Ooh. My biggest lesson, right? My biggest lesson that I learned in my marriage is that we expect our partner to give us the love that our parent didn't.
Okay, you better preach.
Right. Um. I didn't know this at the time, right? But I had these like mother wounds that I came into the relationship with, right? In terms of I wanted a certain type of emotional connection, right? I wanted a certain type of emotional connection with my mother when I was growing up that I just didn't get, right? She has her own story. She came from Jamaica when she was 20.
Oh, I'm Jamaican too.
Oh, let's go. Let's get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So, Jamaican culture is different around like emotionality and telling the people I love you and hugs and all these things, right? So she just didn't get that, right? So she didn't have it to give. So I wanted this like connection as a child, you know what I mean? And then I would realize that I would get frustrated when me and my wife would have certain moments where I felt like she wasn't as emotional as I would want, right? Or as emotionally in tune as I would want. And I had to like sit back, journal about it, right? My frustrations, my anger. And then I saw like a Iyanla Vanzant episode where she was talking about like a man is who his mother makes him or something like that. And I was like, damn, I had to sit with it. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, I'm expecting my wife to be my mom in this situation. And like, that's unfair, right? And not only is it unfair, I'm going to be disappointed every time if I continue with this expectation, right? So I think that's like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, right? Is like we have these mother wounds, these father wounds that we never really heal for real, right? And we're expecting this person that we meet, they can become our husband, our wife, whatever, and we're expecting them to heal that for us, right? Or expecting them to carry that weight of our wound for us, right? And that's not their responsibility, right? We got to heal ourselves, right? And as we're healing, our expectations and our standards will change. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest lessons I learned, and like it messed me up for a while. You
I
know?
always say I wish I would have learned to grow up in a softer home,
Mm,
because Jamaican mixed with a New Yorker is like crazy. You know what I mean?
abrasive. And
So you had to like, I had to like try to unlearn all this toughness and try to get a little softer. I'm still unlearning a lot of it, but but I feel like I'm in a better place mentally with it,
I
that I
love.
can recognize it. And if I see something that I didn't see before, I still try to dissect it. I'm like, wait, I'm getting affected here. What's going on? And
Uh,
like, even when I was dating a dude, I was like, yo, I'm so used to like a dude talking about, oh, your fit is cool. I like your fit. This dude didn't say nothing about my fit. I'm like, yo, hold on. What's going on? Hold on. You don't see these t-shirts I got? Like, what's going on?
right.
Because I realized that I had to hear. I never realized about myself. I had to hear, like, oh, you look good. Oh, you look beautiful. I never noticed that about myself. And I was like, you know what? I took that from that situation, even though we didn't go anywhere, but I learned something about myself in that. You know what I mean? Like, nothing is wasted. I said a bunch of times that you wasted time. Nothing is wasted because you do learn something about yourself. So I
Yeah.
would say that.
Oh my God. I love that. Nothing is wasted. You know, the universe, right, has built-in abundance, right? So like you said,
Mhm.
nothing is wasted. Everything has its purpose and its function. I think, you know, one of the main purposes of there being billions of people, right, on the planet, right? Like we're all like we all offer each other something, right? And it's just like
Mm,
maybe you don't like the offering, right? But that tells you something about yourself, right? Maybe you do like the offering. That tells you something about yourself, right? So everything is adding to you and helping you to refine, who you are. So I love that take of you saying like nothing is wasted, because I believe that too.
yeah, man. It was, I like, when I learned something new about myself, I'm like, when did this ever happen? Like, because you don't know. I always have friends and stuff like that to tell you all these different things. But when you're in a relationship with someone, you don't notice that you need it.
Yeah. And back to the parent thing too. Like I think like like we're 37, right? And it's like my daughter, she's 9, right? So she was,
Oh,
I was a much younger man when she was born, right? And
oh,
like
yeah.
grew up as well, right? As she's
Oh,
growing
yeah.
up,
They say you grow up with your kids. Yes.
grow up with your like when I realized that, I'm like, whoa, like
Hmm.
you really grow up with your children. It's like a lot of times, like the depending on the parenting model, right? Because like West Indians and old school parents is like, nah, I'm the parent, you the child. You know what I mean? And it's like there's this hard delineation between parent and
Right.
right? But
Hmm.
really, it's like we're kind of growing together on this journey. You know what I mean? And like I am the parent, so like I do expect certain things. Like when I tell you to do something, do it, right?
Hmm.
But you can also tell me like when I hurt you. You can tell me that you didn't like how I said something. You could tell me that you would like us to do something different, or you know what I mean? Like there
Hmm.
is like back and forth that I think like new parenting is kind of introducing, right?
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
extreme times, you know what I'm saying? But I think, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna level out eventually.
Yeah, my godson turned 10 this year, and I feel like I grew a lot with him too. I've learned that the love that they see in the adults is just pure. Like they don't see the flaws. They don't see any of that. But when they get older, it shifts because they start to see the contradiction. They start to see it, like mind fucks them in a way, I feel like, because I feel like I was reading the Bell Hooks book. She talked about childhood, and I was just like crying. I was like, yo, I never realized that. And we start to see who our parents are when we're growing up, and it changes us in a way.
Yeah.
And it just like traumatizes us too. Like,
It's a hard pill to swallow, right? Because like like if I like my dad, he's still Superman to me, right? But like when I was younger, his cape was like, Superman cape is red, right? His,
Mhm.
let's just say, like my dad's cape was red and very bright, right? No blemishes, perfect at this,
Right.
you know what I mean? And then as I'm growing up, I'm like, wait, there's a few stains here, right? It's a little frayed, you know what I mean? Like it's not really that red, right? It's a little
Right.
towards maroon, right? And it's like that process can be painful at times, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because like, damn, yo, I thought you're not who I thought you were, you know what I mean? But it's like, yo, he's a
Yeah.
human, like you said, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, true. I feel like yeah, and then like the unconditional love that kids have, it's so pure, yo. It
Yeah,
really is that I feel like sometimes I wish I had that. I wish I could still keep it in a way and not see I do view people like we all ain't shit. Like that's how I kind of help me. It helps me see people are just humans. And I think that's how I process people differently now. And I feel like the pandemic helped me because it helped me see like people just as people. We all have flaws. We're not perfect. We should be okay. And people let us down. That's something too I have. Like disappointment hits me. When it hits me hard. And I'm still trying to figure out like how can I let disappointment go? Like,
mhm.
and it helps with the view of like, people are people.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. And like a lot of it is like the expectation part of it too, right? Like,
The
damn,
expectation.
I didn't think that you would do this to me. You know what I mean? Like I expected you to be solid. I expected you to be down. I expected you to, conduct yourself in a certain way. And it's just like, yo, people are human, right? And if we take this, if we approach people like that, people are human. People have patterns, right? Let's observe people's patterns,
Oh
not
my God.
but just observe their patterns, right? And then kind of deal with them accordingly. We will get
Oh,
hurt.
I see the same thing. Like you see someone make some move, you were like, "Oh, I know. I see you now. Now I gotta move accordingly." I say the same thing.
Yeah. So it's so true. You know what I mean? Like try our best, like not to like have a hardened heart about it, right? Or just be like, man, fuck that person. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, that's their pattern. You know what I mean? And just like now I'm gonna move this way. You know what I mean? Like simple as that, you know?
Man, this conversation was so great. Did you come with the question to ask people to get to the root of the issue?
Yes, yes. So
Ooh.
to get to the root, right, is this in alignment with who I am and who I say I want to be? Right? It's
Wow.
in alignment with who I say I am and who I see myself to be. You know what I mean? Like I think if we just use that to as a lens to to look at life as the steering wheel to move through life, I think that'll be like we'll be so much clearer about things, right?
Yeah.
This is in alignment with who I say I am. Yeah. I think, in observing people's patterns, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
in alignment with who I say I am, right? So are we even equally yoked? Can we walk together? Can we build together, right? Because your pattern is that in alignment with who I say I am, right? Like if people see us together and I say that I'm this person, right? This is the person that I'm projecting into the world. This is who I want to be. People are going to assume one way or another that either you're like me or I'm like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're together. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah. Yeah.
is alignment with who I say I am. You know what I mean? I think that's a powerful question for us to ask ourselves all the time.
True. That's one of the best questions. I
Thank you.
mean, everybody always it's one of the best questions because it does make sense to ask yourself that. Yeah, man. Whew. Thank you so much for doing this. Like,
Of
this is
course.
a really great conversation. I'm just so happy I finally got you to do this. I've been thinking about you for a while, but I was just like, I don't know where he fits. I don't know what, but it makes more sense for us to talk about this and it aligns with what you're doing also. So,
Yes. Yeah, yeah. No, this was so much fun. I mean, I knew it'd be fun. You know what I mean? Like since I think we meet people for a reason. You know what I mean? Like it might seem random. It might seem like I just met them at you know, like we met at Culture Con. It's like, oh, I just met her at Culture Con. Like, nah, like that was for a reason. And sometimes later on we see what that reason was. You know what I mean?
Like you just was like, hey, what's you guys' names? I was like, wow, I don't even, no one ever does this. Like no one ever does that, but I really like always appreciated you doing that. Like you was working in mental health way before it became a thing, you know. So the social healer now. So look at you.
It's the evolution. You know what I mean? It's the growth. It's the, you know what I mean?
Seriously, do you feel like you're more inclined to the path now that you chose this? I feel like things start to roll when you like start to do something.
Yeah, it's really been like so crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's like I remember when I first told people that like I'm doing coaching, right? And I was just like, I don't think anybody's gonna care. You know what I mean? And like
Mm-hmm.
getting booked, people are booking me. You know what I mean? I remember when I wrote my first ebook on communication. I'm like, nobody's gonna care about the words. You know what I mean? It's like life just keeps showing me like, yo, like you're on the right path and you need to like believe in yourself more. You need to like lean into your gifts, right? You need to talk to people more, right? Open that throat chakra, you're right. Like talk to people. And it's just been reaffirming that, you know, I keep making the right decision, right? And when I make the wrong decision, it's like life is just shows me like, redirect this way. You know what I mean? It's not that deep. It's
I
that
call
deep,
it
but it's not
trial
that
and
deep.
error. I call that the trial and error because you need the trial and error space to like make a mistake and learn from it.
You
So
do. You really, really
mhm.
do, right? There's no real growth without trial and error. So
I'm
yeah,
queen
I'm
of
just
trial and error. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So like yeah, I feel like I'm in my bag right now. Like I don't have to like be anything. I can just be myself. You know what I mean?
I'm so happy. That's every time you write something so prolific online, I'm like, right. You right.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Like I prefer writing. Like writing is like my first love. Like I rather write, but it's like, you know, the age that we're in, like people like to like see you and hear you and all that stuff. So, you know,
Yeah. It leads into like the more you do it, I think you'll have more opportunities to write bestsellers and stuff
I
like that.
agree. Thank
So
you. I
I feel
respect
like
that.
I know that route is probably what will make it happen. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. I love that. That's a good perspective on it. Yeah.
I try to give perspectives out here, okay?
Yeah. And I gotta say, you know, thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me, right? Thank you for the great questions and creating a good space. Like I know like people like because I interview people too, right? And like I think we make it look easy, but like people don't really know like the prep that is involved and like actually thinking about your guests and letting the
Mhm.
questions kind of come to you when you're writing them down. Like so I
Yeah.
appreciate the time that you put in and having me on your show.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh God. Say the question one more time.
How does this align with who I say I am and who I want to be?
Mm, yes. Whew, okay. Thank you so much for being on here. It's gonna be a great one to edit. And also, this is a season finale, you know, the last episode.
Let's
Season
go.
season 5 is a short one, but it's a good one at the same time.
Amazing.
Because I didn't want to do too many episodes this time around. I just
Yeah.
wanted to do just enough to call it a season, you know?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Shout to consistency, right? Shout to having a vision and working to see it actualized into the world, right? Shout to you bringing people in on the vision, right? Because you could just talk by yourself, right? And not have
Yeah,
guests.
it started out that way. Like, I call this podcast my journal
Love it.
because the beginning, I filmed the whole season before I told anybody. It was just like, I should call it true self because I love questions. I love helping people get to the root of things because you have to ask yourself questions at the end of the day so you can understand where things are coming from.
I agree.
So true self is always just trying to get to the truest form of yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And knowing that true form of ourselves, right? Having that it's a feeling, right? That like your true self is like it feels a certain kind of way, right?
Yeah.
So and going back to the question, like who how does this align with who I say I am, right? Like this thing that's outside this external thing, how
Mhm.
does it match that feeling of my true self? You know what I mean? Like
Come on.
from there.
Yeah, like I always say, this podcast is really just really who I am. Like I do like to dig deep. Like I don't show it enough, but this is just who I am. I love to dig deep and have conversations and ask good questions because that's part of like my personality. So
Come on.
yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm so glad I'm the last. I'm ending the season off. Let's go. Let's go.
Yo,
Thank you for having
I
me.
need to do like a end of the season talk of like to like kind of like amp yourself up for the next year. So what do you have for the next year for people?
Woo. So I'm doing my first couples retreat for next month.
That's
Having some
sick.
I'm gonna have some friends. This is my wife's idea. Shout out to my wife, man. She really like pours into me.
She
She was like,
seems
yo,
fabulous, by the way.
thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. I got me one. And she was like, yo, for your birthday, let's just like do a couples retreat. And I was like, yo, we should do that. You know what I mean? Like we have a couple of friends. We're gonna go to the Poconos. I have some stuff planned, like some couples building stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that. So that's at the end of this year, but I want to actually widen it, make it bigger next year and bring more couples. And that really helps me to get into like more comfortable with like being in front of people, like in my actual work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
work all day, but like me actually like facilitating and creating a space where couples can kind of get more in alignment with each other. I'm looking forward to that. More ebooks, workshops, like all of that stuff. Just really getting in my bag for real. Just being more myself and like, I think, God or the universe, or ancestors, whatever you believe in, they put different gifts into us, right? And then our life transforms the more we refine those gifts, we share those gifts with the world. So that's what I'm doing this year, next year, and beyond, right? Just sharing myself with the world for real.